We're going live in 3, 2, 1, begin. Welcome back to 32 and Goal. I'm your host, Corey. Today we got Rob and Tyler. We're going to be talking about the NFL Divisional Round predictions. But before we get started on that, let's talk a little bit about last week. Were you guys able to catch any of the games last week?
I watched them all.
Yeah? Were they as exciting as you thought they were going to be?
Not until the last 5 minutes of the Eagles and Bears game was any game good.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was pretty disappointed with all of the games. There wasn't really anything that was like keeping me on the edge of my seat. I was just kind of sitting there the whole time thinking, man, I can't wait until next week. And it was kind of an unfortunate way to start off the playoffs, in my opinion. But, oh, man, there's a lot of, the end of the Seahawks-Cowboys game was okay as well, if I remember right. But
yeah, but it kind of ended uneventfully with the explain it, just the kickoff. Like, it's supposed to be an onside kick, and the dude just kicked it. So
yeah, but yeah,
and it was kind of the same way with the Ravens and Chargers game, where they just had the fumble at the end instead of the game-winning drive.
Right. But I mean, if you're watching that game though, that's a big play defensively. But for someone who's not really invested in either team, yeah, you're right. It did kind of end on a anticlimactic note. But let's talk about this Eagles-Bears game. Like Rob mentioned, the last 5 minutes, pretty exciting. I think the big story of the week, we all know, Cody Parkey missing the winning field goal. Hilarious. What are your guys' thoughts? Tyler?
yeah,
Oh.
I'm going all the way. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody else in the North was pretty happy about it. I know I was laughing, and I sent some quick texts out to my Bears friends, and I'm sure you probably did the same thing, being your girlfriend is a avid Bears fan. Weren't you watching that with her family?
No, not with her family. I was watching it with her. She was kind of doing some book stuff, but I was actually myself rooting for the Bears just because, her family likes them so. But I wasn't really expecting them to win. Well, I was expecting them to win, but I wasn't disappointed when they lost. So,
but I think the bigger story there is, like the last 5 minutes, that last drive by the Eagles, where they went like 85 yards or something to go score a touchdown to winning points. That's more on the Bears defense. That loss is more on the Bears defense than it is Cody Parkey. Yeah, he missed the field goal. It was tipped, so that didn't help at all. But that defense that you brought in Khalil Mack, you gave up all that capital for him. You gave up that huge contract for him. And you let Nick Foles march downfield and score the winning drive on fourth down.
Yeah, not only that, but they also, that defense, the Chicago Bears defense, also let a touchdown happen when they only had 10 men on the field. Like, that's huge mistakes in a playoff game.
Yeah, that was a giant mistake by that coaching staff and the players just not paying attention and going through and seeing. Yeah, they only had 10 players on the field for that touchdown, like you said. And another thing is the Bears' offense was. I mean, we all knew that the Bears' offense was what hindered that team, and they did not perform as well as I thought they were going to be able to.
No, absolutely not. With that exception of that final drive led by Mitch Trubisky, they were kind of slow offensively all game. Their lead rusher only had 35 yards. They weren't running it. They weren't throwing well. Allen Robinson had a great game, but and Mitch Trubisky for his first playoff game, he did really well. I think he's gonna have a bright career as a Bear, but they just were not ready as they should have been.
Yeah, there were mistakes made on both sides of the ball, but yeah, there were just like missed throws here, mistakes there that just. Yeah, I think that's what took away from a lot of the games last weekend was there were just so many mistakes. These are supposed to be the best teams of the year, and there was a lot of mistakes that just slowed down the game.
Yeah, you're exactly right, man. When the Texans played the Colts. Deshaun Watson, second year quarterback or third now, did not do as well as I was expecting. He's been on fire to DeAndre Hopkins all season, and they just weren't clicking as well as they had all season. I believe DeAndre Hopkins had 2 drop passes, which is pretty forgivable considering he didn't miss a single pass all season. But yeah, they just and another thing, the Ravens, they're playing Lamar Jackson all game. I think a lot of people were expecting, Joe Flacco to come make an appearance somewhere in that game. I know we were talking about it on, our messaging app that we use. But it just didn't seem like they wanted him. I think we're going to see Joe Flacco get traded pretty much. That guarantees it.
I think that was a big statement of, Lamar's our guy going forward. We're going to stick with him. I think they recognize that they have a young QB, and the fact that they made the playoffs, they're probably happy with this season. I mean, you come in with a rookie QB starting halfway through the season, and you're able to grind it out and win your division. You got to be pretty proud of that. So I think they're going to get rid of Flacco. I'm not sure if his contract's up or not, or if they're going to trade him.
Yeah.
It looks like they're sticking with John Harbaugh, and they're going to be going from here on out.
Rob, what are your thoughts on that Ravens-Chargers game?
Oh yeah, it's kind of the same, like you said. I mean, just to he was doing in the game, and to not put Flacco in, I really think that shows that Jackson's their guy moving forward from now on. Even though Joe Flacco is a Super Bowl winning quarterback, he this year, right? And Lamar got him to where they were. Did he perform in the playoffs? No. Had a horrible game, absolutely terrible game, but showed sign of life at the end there, and he didn't give up, made it close. So I think he's got a bright future. I win and not take as many hits running. I don't want to see another RG3 situation, but
yeah, he definitely needs to improve his arm, which is another surprise to me why he wasn't taken out that game. You got a running quarterback who wasn't doing a great job running against the Chargers defense. And when you can't throw and you can't run, you're just kind of a sitting duck there. But, like you said, he did have life at the end of the game, made it interesting. So I think, going forward, I think he'll do all right. That Ravens defense, as long as they keep the majority of their players, I think they'll be all right next year as well. But yeah, Golden Tate scored a winning touchdown against the Bears, so that's hilarious.
And if I'm the Ravens, I'm hiring Peyton Manning to come in and teach Lamar all off season.
What? Is that a thing?
Why not? He'd be a QB coach. Private tutor lessons.
It's kind of a weird matchup, but all right, let's get into the divisional round. This first game, I think, is going to be pretty good. There's a couple games this week. Actually, looking at the schedule this weekend, all 4 of them I'm pretty excited for. I think it's going to be a lot better than last week. I'm excited for this divisional round, but we're going to start off talking about the Colts and the Chiefs. I think the big talk here is Andrew Luck versus Patrick Mahomes. I think that's pretty much the major talk of the town. What are your thoughts, Robbie? Go.
So this is the best weekend in football, the divisional round, and this is where the real teams are kind of coming into play now. And I think this is the best game of the weekend. I am looking forward to this one more than any other game. You said, this is Andrew Luck versus Patrick Mahomes. This is a cold game in Kansas City. This could be a high-scoring game. Both these teams, both these offenses, we know what they're capable of. I think the Colts struggled a little bit last week in the second half. Their offense kind of stalled, but got the job done on the road. A big thing about the Colts, too, is that, these guys have been playing playoff football now for 2 months, I want to say. Like, these guys have been fighting for their lives, and it shows in the playoffs now. This is a hard pick because we know what the Chiefs are capable of. Patrick Mahomes had a huge season, but I'm taking the Colts in this one, and this is my upset of the week. I just think the Colts are too hot right now, and I think Andrew Luck is just going to tear that defense up. They are awful on pass defense. So give me the Colts in this one. No, I'm taking them.
The Colts. Interesting. I actually have the Colts as well. A thing that we didn't mention, well, we only talked about it for about 5 seconds so far, but one of the things that's interesting is between these two quarterbacks, they have 89 touchdowns on the season. Like, that's absolutely insane. Between two guys meeting in the playoffs. I think that's the largest amount ever met in postseason, which is pretty interesting. And like you were saying, it's a battle of quarterbacks. I don't really like making that comparison because the quarterbacks never really play each other. But what they do play is their defense, and the Chiefs' defense has been pretty lackluster all season. I think everyone knows this. And I think the Colts just have a better defense. All they really need to do is make a couple stops, because I think this Andrew Luck-led offense is going to be a little bit more aggressive than the Chiefs' defense can handle. But I don't know if Patrick Mahomes, his first playoff appearance as a starter, isn't going to be able to keep up that endurance that whole time. I've said that time and time again this season, and he's proved me wrong, so he might prove me wrong again. But I also have the Colts. Tyler?
Yeah, I have, if I'm picking an upset, yeah, it's definitely this one. I got the Colts as well. For my DraftKings, this is definitely the game I've taken a lot of players out of because the point spread is probably going to be so high. Like you said, that Chiefs defense has been weak all year, and it seems like they're going to be without Eric Berry again tomorrow, which is a huge hit. And Luck is probably just going to shred this defense apart. If the pass rushers can't get the Luck, it's not going to be pretty. And not to mention he has Marlon Mack, in the backfield there too, who has come in his own as a really strong running back. And then you got T.Y. Hilton, Eric Ebron, and then Inman on the outside too. That it's just overall the Colts, honestly, they're probably the most well-rounded team in the AFC right now competing. You could probably argue the Chargers as well. But yeah, just the way the Colts have been playing, though, like the Chargers have been kind of slow the past few weeks, but the way Andrew Luck and the Colts are playing has just been outstanding.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You mentioned all those teams on, the Colts offense, but, Tyreek, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, this is almost like a Pro Bowl team on both sides of this offense. It's absolutely insane. I think it's going to be similar to the Chiefs-Rams games we saw earlier this season. I don't think it's going to be high as numbers. I don't think they're going to have, combined score of over 100, but I think it's probably going to be like 30 points each. I wouldn't be surprised. And I just think, whoever gets that first stop, those first couple stops is going to be the winner. So,
yeah, it's definitely going to come down to the defense that decides to make the stops. And another thing that should be noted is the Colts, they have the highest rookie snap percentage in the league at 22%. The next closest playoff team was the Ravens at 13%. So this is a young team as well.
Right.
So years to come, they're going to be solid.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I like to see it changed up a little bit, so I'm excited for that. Let's go on to... So all three of us have the Colts. I'm actually surprised by that, but whatever. So, Cowboys versus Rams. I think, a couple months ago, if you told me the Cowboys were going to make the playoffs, I would have just laughed in your face. But ever since they acquired Amari Cooper, this offense has completely changed around. I know they were comparing themselves to the Rams offense earlier this season, so it's going to be exciting to see, if they can actually keep up with this Rams offense. I'm excited personally about this running matchup we're going to see between, Ezekiel Elliott and Todd Gurley. Two of arguably the best running backs in the game right now. Definitely two of the best this season. And I think, we're going to see a lot of yards on the ground this game. Both teams have a decent secondary, and both teams have decent, wide receivers. Well, the Cowboys have a decent wide receiver, and the Los Angeles Rams have a lot of decent receivers. But I think we're gonna see a lot of yards on the ground. So I think it's gonna be very interesting to see if these running backs can keep up with each other, if they can go leg for leg. I don't know if that's a saying, but I have who do I have winning this one? I have the Rams winning this one. Tyler?
I also have the Rams winning this one. Just Todd Gurley, he's from another level. This is actually an exciting game because you got the two best running backs going head to head, and I expect both of them to be utilized in vast amounts because they both can catch, they both can run, but the Rams all around, I think, have the better team. Their defense is a lot scarier. Actually, Talib and like you said, Amari Cooper has uplifted this Cowboys offense, but Talib and Amari Cooper were in the same division last year when Talib was on the Broncos and Amari Cooper was on the Raiders. And Talib on the field has kept Amari Cooper in check before, and I expect it to happen in this game as well. And on the road, on the season, Cowboys are 3-5 actually, and out of divisional games on the road, they are 1-4. So they do struggle on the road. So I think that'll play a factor in this game. The players in LA are trying to get their fans hyped up to take over the stadium because, like it was in the Packers, that they have a hard time filling the stands with their own people. But I feel like this is definitely they're going to get at it this game.
Rob, thoughts?
This is actually a really interesting matchup. And it kind of comes down to, I think, the Cowboys run offense versus the Rams run defense. The Rams are actually giving up 5.1 yards per carry on the season. Now, if you think about that, that doesn't make sense really because, they have Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh on that line. They should be pretty dominant. So that is a big cause for concern, I think, for the Rams. Zeke Elliott is, I don't know, the best running back in the league, maybe. Todd Gurley on the other side has be better than him, but I think if can win this game, it's going to be on the ground. Give it to Zeke until those linebackers have to press, and then open it up with the play action to Amari Cooper, who is, like you guys said, has really opened up that offense. I think this one will be close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. I think this will be like the last second field goal, or whoever has the ball last. But I'm going to give it to the Rams, though. I think they've proven, even though they've had a few difficult games against some good defenses this year, they've kind of turned around here at the last minute, and I'll give it to the Rams.
Yeah. Another thing I want to mention, the Cowboys have a very deadly linebacker duo in Vander Esch and Jalen Smith. I think it's going to be very interesting. I think they'll be able to contain Todd Gurley a little bit, but like I said, this is going to be a very, very interesting matchup. And one more time, who did you say you have, Robbie?
I'm picking the Rams.
All right, the Rams as well.
But I could see the Cowboys winning.
That's how I was all four of my picks this week. I was like, I'm going to pick this team, but I can see the other team winning as well. And it's like, dang.
Absolutely.
That's why, like you said, this is, divisional round is the best weekend of football. Just 4 great games every time. Speaking of great games, the Chargers taking on the Patriots. Rob?
Yeah, so if I said that the game of the week was Chiefs and Colts, the Patriots and Chargers game might be the one I'm kind of looking most forward to, though. It's two old men versus each other, right? Tom Brady and Phillip Rivers. this is an interesting matchup just because it's Tom Brady at home. It's January. It's in the snow. It's gonna be a snow game. I saw. Um, Chargers. This seems like the best team that Philip Rivers has been on since the LaDainian Tomlinson era. You know what, man? This is a hard one to pick just because I want to see the Chargers win this game. I want to see some parity in the NFL. I don't want to see the Patriots always in the Super Bowl, man. But how can you pick against Tom Brady? This team isn't the same though. The Patriots, they've showed that they're slower this year. Gronk is not 100%. He's not the guy he used to be. Brady's not even looking like the guy he used to be either. But I think the secret for the Patriots to win this game is going to be on the ground with James White catching passes and Sonny Michel as well. I think that's going to take out a lot of those good corners that the Chargers have with Casey Hayward and like Derwin James, that super good rookie and stuff. So they can get that short yardage game going against the Chargers. I think it's kind of game over, to be honest. So I'll take the Patriots, unfortunately.
Tyler, what are your thoughts?
Well, as Robbie said, you can't pick against Tom Brady in Foxborough in the cold. I mean, that's just everything stacks against you. We've seen Hall of Famers go in there and just make a fool of. So my pick is with the New England as well. Though I'm the same way. I want the Chargers to win. Philip Rivers has faced Tom Brady 7 times and has not won yet. Philip Rivers is coming toward the ends of his career, and he came into the league in 2004, same time as Eli Manning. He was actually part of the trade that sent Eli from San Diego to the Giants and, kicked Drew Brees out of the Chargers. I told you guys the stats earlier this season that Philip Rivers, career-wise, is better than Eli, but Eli will always beat him out in the Hall of Fame because Philip Rivers does not have any Super Bowls. This is Philip Rivers' year to get that Super Bowl. He needs to play like this is his last season. And it's going to be tough, especially if it's cold out. That's going to limit the passing. But he's got probably the one dual receiver and running back rival that could have rivaled AB and Bell a few years ago, and Gordon and Allen. He has the weapons to do it. Hunter Henry, I'm not sure if he's coming back this game. That'll be help. On defense, they got Joey Bosa, who is just an absolute monster. So they have the tools to do it. So now they just everything has to come together. They've been playing shaky the past few weeks, but everything needs to come together now. They need to treat this like their Super Bowl.
So you got the Chargers or the Patriots? Who you got?
Can't go against Tom Brady. So I got the Patriots, but I want the Chargers to go.
That's interesting. So my thoughts on this game. Last week we saw the Chargers kind of struggling against the Ravens defense. That being said, the Ravens do have the best defense in the league. New England Patriots, they're currently ranked 21st on the season. And their biggest downfall is their secondary, which they're ranked 21st in. They allowed 4,181 yards on the season compared to, 3,651 against Baltimore. That with those numbers, I feel like Philip Rivers is going to be able to shred against this defense as well. I think, the Patriots were kind of seeing the end of an era, the end of a legendary Belichick, Tom Brady, Gronkowski, Edelman era, where these guys have just been hammering everybody in the league for so long. And now we're seeing a banged up Gronk. Edelman's in and out of injuries every other year. Gronk, his back is, all but Frankenstein together. And I think, this team isn't capable of winning the Super Bowl this year. I just don't think they're good enough. I know that's kind of sacrilegious in the NFL community, saying the Patriots aren't good enough, and then they're going to win the Super Bowl and prove me wrong. But this team is more or less banged up, and it feels like they have injuries. They have locker room trouble, and the Chargers team is kind of on a morale high right now. I don't think a lot of people thought they were going to beat the Ravens last week. I don't think a lot of people even thought they were going to make the playoffs. When the season started, they've been tearing it up. Melvin Gordon, Austin Eckler, all these guys have just been doing really well. And then Keenan Allen has been, kind of a sleeper wide receiver as far as, good wide receivers in the league go. He's topped 1,000 yards this year. I actually have the Chargers winning this team simply because I think they have a better defense and they have a decent offense. I think Phillip Rivers is having a better season than Tom Brady. I think their wide receivers are having a better season. So I think I'm gonna go with the Chargers on this one. So interesting. Right. What?
I hope you're right.
Man, I hope I'm right too.
I hope you are too. Like I said, they have the weapons to do it. It's just it has to come together now.
It's one thing too that we haven't talked about really is Joey Bosa coming back.
Yeah.
And how explosive that defense is now with him. He's, I don't want to say a generational talent, man, but he's just on that side of the ball for him. Also, Melvin Ingram too is, so if
both of them.
Yeah, both those guys can get pressure on Brady, man. It might be a nightmare game for him, but
yeah, I watched a couple Patriots games this year, and their offensive line was struggling for a lot of the season to protect Brady. He had 21 sacks on the season. Not quite as high as some people, but that's a lot for Tom Brady. That's a lot for a 70-year-old man getting hit. So I think it's interesting.
Gronk has been non-existent pretty much this season. I mean, he should have just retired. He's playing on thin ice.
Yeah, he's having, he's missed, 3 games this season because of his back, and he's still doing all right. He's had 600-plus yards, so he's still doing all right. But, I think he's just Frankenstein at this time, man. Every season he is, just going in and out of concussion protocol, back injuries. I think he had ankle injury one time. So, all right, final game of the week, the Eagles-Saints. Last week we talked about the Eagles-Bears, and we were all kind of like, oh, the Eagles, they're not going to do anything. Like, oh, Nick Foles, butt of hands, he's not going to be able to do anything. And then he kind of comes out, beats this Bears defense. Is Nick Foles capable of winning another Super Bowl? Rob, what are your thoughts?
Yes, but maybe not this year. So the Nick Foles story is, I don't even know how to explain it, man. They really need to write a movie about it, just because it's just, how does this guy consistently awful in the regular season, or so inconsistent, really, and then he just turns on another gear in the playoffs, and he becomes, he goes Super Saiyan. And last year it was pretty incredible, to see him take that team Super Bowl and win. Awesome to see him beat the Bears. But I think this is kind of where the magic runs out. Saints in the Superdome, divisional round. Probably the best year for the Breeze to get another ring, to maybe retire on. I can't see doing it this week. So I'm picking the Saints, man. The last time these two faced each other, it was a huge blowout, like 45-7 or something like that. The Eagles are probably going to be really mad about that, playing this game, and I think it'll be a little closer this time. I see Drew Brees tearing this team apart again.
Tyler?
Oh, yeah. Like we said at the beginning of the podcast, is you look at every game and you're like, okay, I think this person's going to win, but this other team could definitely win. This is the game where that's the least, I guess, effective, where, yeah, the Saints are most likely going to win it. Like, there's a slight chance that Foles pulls it out, but unless he pulls out some magic, but it's just like I said, like the Colts are the most well-rounded team in the AFC. The Saints are the most well-rounded team in the NFL right now. They have good edge rushers. They have decent cornerbacks. They
Right.
have two running backs that teams would kill for. Like any one of those running backs go to, Mark Ingram or Kamara go to any other team, they're an RB1 instantly. Not to mention you back it up with a Hall of Fame quarterback and then you throw and I think Michael Thomas is just going to shred this defense up. And yeah, you kind of want to see Nick Foles do it again, but I don't think that. I think, yeah, like what Robbie said, the magic stops here.
Yeah, I mean, earlier this season, I think we all kind of predicted the Saints to make a good playoff push. I don't think anybody was like Eagles are going to make the playoffs, let alone win, a wild card. They're okay offensively. The Eagles do have a lot of weapons that Nick Foles can throw to. Zach Ertz, one of the best tight ends in the game right now. Alshon Jeffrey, who's pretty good. I would say he's top 15 wide receivers. Some would probably argue higher. I'd have to look at a list of wide receivers to see where I'd place him. Aguilar, he's doing all right. Golden Tate was a good pickup. I don't think a lot of people thought so until he scored the winning touchdown last week. So I think they underutilize Golden Tate and don't really know how to use him offensively. The Saints, however, Drew Brees is on a different level this year. You guys pretty much hit the nail on the head when you talked about how rounded this team is and how explosive Drew Brees has been, how hard it is to play New Orleans. I think Sean Payton is going to get a little too creative with his quarterback situation in Taysom Hill. I think we're going to see him a little bit this game. I think he's going to throw it, though. I think, we've seen him almost every time Taysom Hill gets in, we see, Drew Brees lined up on the outside, and we see Taysom Hill running up the middle. I think we're going to see it a little bit different this week, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a touchdown against the Eagles. That's my bold prediction is Hill's going to get a touchdown. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Oh, I picked the Saints as well. Is there any last thing you guys want to add about any of these games?
So if a quarterback throws a touchdown to another quarterback, what is that, a Philly special or what is a New Orleans special? What is it?
That's a motherfucking Saints special.
Oh,
Speaking of, positions throwing to positions, I thought it was a little BS. This isn't about playoffs, by the way. I think it's a little BS that Lions kicker Matt Prater didn't get any fantasy points for throwing a touchdown. So change your app, ESPN, if you're watching.
I'll say, yeah, he should have totally got points for that.
Yeah, he didn't. He lost out on
I
points,
think he
actually,
did in
because he didn't kick a
DraftKings.
field goal. But anyway, yeah, so that pretty much wraps that up. I think the Eagles are going to probably get, I don't know, they're probably going to win. Nick Foles is probably going to win a Super Bowl. So
I'll say, yeah. It's one of those where it's unlikely to happen, but at the same time, I could definitely see it just to surprise everybody. I mean, the past few weeks, the Saints haven't been playing the best of ball either,
I mean, they
but
haven't
they've
really
had a few
to.
weeks off. Yeah, that's the thing is they've had it clinched, but even before that, they weren't playing the greatest. But now they've had like 3 weeks of rest, so
Yeah.
they should be good.
So, Robbie, any last words?
I just hope for some good games this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, I
I
agree.
think they all should be. I think they should all be relatively close, and barring the Philly Saints game, but even that one I think should be pretty close.
Seriously, though, looking at these teams, there's, even halfway through the season, I think there's only about 2 teams in the Cowboys and Eagles that we didn't really predict to be here. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of these teams are going to be pretty explosive this weekend, and I'm excited for it.
Oh yeah, I mean, we were calling the Chargers all year, saying that no one talks about them. They don't get the love and respect that they deserve.
Same with Andrew Luck and the Colts. Patriots are kind of a given. Saints. Drew Brees has been on an MVP caliber season if Mahomes wasn't in the league. So I think we are going to wrap it up. We will be here next week to talk about the conference championships. But until then, make sure you guys follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. We don't have an Instagram, don't have a Facebook. We might have a Facebook. I don't know. I don't check it. So yeah, I think that wraps it up for today. Thank you guys for stopping by. My name is Corey. I'm the host, 32 and Goal. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter. Peace out.